This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 629 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation, on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and Total Saddle Fit. On today's USDF show, we are promoting the North American Youth Championships coming up next week. We've got a great interview with USDF Junior Young Rider Committee Chairperson Roberta Williams, as well as a chat with a first-time participant, Elizabeth Petersen. Our trainer tip will be brought to us from Para-Olympian Rebecca Hart.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Well, hi,
welcome
Phil.
back, Reese. Yeah, we've had the week off, and
I know.
Started this episode by flubbing the introduction 10 times or so, something like that. So
I was laughing.
We shouldn't get a week off anymore. It's just,
I know. I was laughing. Everybody doesn't. Sometimes you got to hear the blooper reel, everybody, because it is funny. We sometimes it gets late, and Phil and I have worked a full day, so sometimes it gets, it gets to be time for sure. I love it. Well, did you have a good week off?
I did.
Awesome.
I did. Well, I mean, it's at this moment, it's all about the Olympics, right? And
it's all about the Olympics. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I did go to the beach with my family for 3 days, and it was great. I taught the Pony Club Festival and then jumped on a plane, which if anybody's done that, yeah, it was not jumping or going anywhere fast. I ended up spending the night in the airport. It was really, but I got to the beach. It was great to just spend a little time with my family. And I will caution anyone that has children or nieces and nephews. I got baited into playing a game with my niece. And normally I'm like, yes, I love games. Like I love to play with her. And because at home, we're always running somewhere, or, we don't get a lot of quality time just to hang out. Well, she said this Barbie memory game. I am cautioning everybody right now. Do not play Barbie memory.
Okay.
I mean, Philip, it was like the Olympics, and I was clearly not ready for her skill level. She killed me. Basically, it's all these
memory
cards.
Card game. Is it matching Barbies?
It is a memory. Yes. It's like matching Barbies. There's like 2 cards, and you line them up, and there's probably I bet you there's probably 60 of them. I mean, they were all over the couch, and she was just like, poof, poof. And I couldn't remember anything. And this was I was having coffee. So you can't blame it on any alcoholic beverages or anything like that. Oh my gosh. And I was really trying to, and I don't know what skill she has, but she nailed it. It was fun. Well, it was fun for her. It was not fun for me. She beat me literally 58-2. It was terrible. So just heads up.
It's okay. It's okay, Reese.
Can't be good at everything.
That's right.
Yeah, it was
fine.
It was good though. And my horse has got a little vacation. It was really hot here that week. And so, we do have to kind of think about vacation for our guys because, they go in Florida and they really go a lot through the year. So it's kind of nice to be able to step back and give them a little time off. So that's what we did.
Yeah. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So how's your Olympic viewing going?
Oh my gosh. I don't know about anybody else, but I am exhausted because I am staying up way too late, and I start watching the coverage, and I am literally glued. And the next thing I know, it's 11:30, and I'm like, oh my gosh, another night where I am up, and then I'm jazzed because I've been watching these guys. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, I am just loving it. How about you?
Well, our coverage starts early in the morning, I guess, for the live events, right?
Yeah.
You can watch replays in the evening. Yeah, I mean, not as much as you. Not as much as you.
But I mean, I'm an Olympic
certainly
jumping.
Enjoy the Olympic time and all the competitions that are going on and some great stuff.
Well, and how about the dressage? I mean, how could you not be? I mean, I was so inspired watching those riders. They were so cool.
It was mesmerizing.
It was
Mesmerizing. I think
so
that's.
great.
I mean, the Olympics is always, some of the best riding that has taken place ever. I think the scores keep inching their way up, and the horses and riders just keep delivering.
And I enjoyed the social media coverage, being able to see them on Facebook with a lot of the riders, and it's so fun. I mean, they're public figures, so we can all be, and it was so fun to see them backstage and see their faces. I mean, there's a great picture of Charlotte Desjardins. She just found out she won the bronze medal on Geo, and he's a very young horse. And I mean, it was just watching her joy. And Phil, I took our book club selection right now, which is The Dancing Horse by Charlotte Desjardins, which is her, it's her book. And I had just written, I was reading it over the weekend and in the airport. And so it just kind of really clued into what she was doing. And it was just wonderful. And to see Isabelle Vert, I mean, she is the greatest of all time, like unbelievable. And Jessica was awesome. I mean, it was just so inspiring. And no offense, Phil, but how about those US riders? Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, because I know many of the riders and have met them in person. I think that's, I'm Canadian, but that's kind of special because they've come on our show and we've heard their stories. And so there's a personal connection. And I mean, it was just awesome to see you guys take the silver medal and really achieve a little more than what you had hoped for.
Right.
I think.
Right.
And that's the point of doing the competition, right? And everybody kind of knew that unless they made any huge mistakes, the Germans would win the gold. They've just put on a spectacular performance of connection with their horses and spectacular horses. And, but I think the other two medals were really up in the air, but so that was great head-to-head competition and following along and seeing what was going to happen. And then for the individual, I think it was, between the top five, just great riding and great horses and just, everybody loves the freestyle. And like you said, like the coverage is getting better and better from, in America, like NBC, and Canada with CBC, because when have we been able to see live the dressage competition? We used to always have to, go and get it somewhere somehow, usually from Europe. Europe will stream it. So, I mean, just being able to watch it live and through social media, see behind the scenes, so the vet that we use at our farm is the team vet. So he was there and posting pictures and little videos from behind the scenes. And that was amazing and fantastic. So really, really getting the feeling like you were there, you were part of the action and part of the team. So I think that was just amazing. And like I said, the more Olympics we have, the more that stuff gets us into the action more, and it couldn't have been better this time.
Oh, it was just awesome. And Sabine Shout-Carey, we did I thought it was a great interview. We so enjoyed her, and she just literally had the rides of her life there, and it was just amazing to watch. And I just had goosebumps the entire time, and it was just beautiful. And I just think the classical riding is back, and I mean, beautiful horses, happy horses, correctly trained horses. I mean, it just was inspiring. So if you haven't watched it, you can find it. You should watch it. I'm going to watch it again, probably again. So Phil, but you have the scores. So if anybody didn't get the scores, we wanted to talk about those for a few minutes.
Okay. And we should also talk about like the qualifying, how that all worked out, because it was a little different for this year. And I hadn't even really realized how that was all going to work. So, everybody rode the Grand Prix test, and then that was a qualifier for the special and the individual separately, right? So usually, in past years, the Grand Prix was a qualifier to move forward to the special, which was a qualifier to move forward to the individual. This was a little different. So, lots of individuals, and they qualified in groups and things like that. So I think that was an interesting kind of switch up, which I think it worked really well. And I haven't heard any complaints about that. But, a special shout out to Brittany Fraser, because Adrienne Lyle pulled out for the freestyle, which allowed Brittany to sneak in to the freestyle, which and she rode such a nice freestyle. We've had her on the show a couple times. She's a lovely person, and she's been with her horse for so long. She trained him all the way to Grand Prix, and so I thought that was really special, because there's lots of combinations that don't qualify for the special or for the Cur, so they go to the Olympics all that way, all that hard work to ride one test.
And money.
That's it can be heartbreaking if that test didn't go how you wanted or whatever. And so I kind of feel for those people who didn't qualify, and so there's a lot of dynamics happening at the Olympics, and some great stories. But I think I saw at least 2, maybe 3 horses kind of have a spook in the arena. And what can you do about that, right? And then your Olympic dream is kind of over for that year, and a bit disappointing. So, just to go there is
unbelievable,
amazing, and good for everyone that competed at the Olympics. And my heart breaks for those that didn't have the test of their lives, or all of that stuff. So I'm going to give you the team rankings from the results of the special. So in first, like I said, Germany, they had a combined total of around 248. Then the United States, great job, guys, with a combined total of 235. Great Britain won the bronze, 234. So they were really close. Yes,
so close.
And then there was Denmark, 229, Holland 227, Sweden 219, Spain 218, Portugal 211. So unfortunately, the Canadian team didn't make it through to ride the special. I think Lindsay, we had Lindsay Kellogg on the show, and she has a great horse. But I think, in my opinion, I think she had said this on the social media too, that he was a little tired. And and that's completely understandable. I thought I saw a couple of horses that weren't sparkly and shiny, like they are sometimes in North America or Europe, their normal show situation. It was so hot there, and there was a lot of flights, and the flights were long, and they're training hard. So I thought that was something to pay attention to. Some horses don't do as well in the heat as others, and that can be the way it goes, right?
Well, and that's it. These are not machines. And you think about it too, like you can travel in a whole group, and, one person really gets hit with jet lag, and you never know who, you just don't know. And that horse is fairly inexperienced when it came to travel. So that didn't help, it's such a hard game. I think we can all respect that, even just going to a competition, going to a horse show. Sometimes the horses, you're like, oh my gosh, they're tired, or they're this and that. So, and going that far, and the arena was massive. It was, it's such an experience for those horses, and especially the greener ones. And in that, Charlotte Dujardin, she spoke about that, on how she took Geo, they call him Pumpkin. She took him instead of her other mount, Freestyle. She had a couple horses to choose from. That would be nice, but she has a string, right? And so she obviously chose brilliantly, because she was a bronze medalist, individually and team. And she just thought that was going to be the best match for the horse and the environment and all of that. So, we hate that.
Lots to consider.
Yeah, so much to consider. Yeah. We hate that for the riders.
So many things have to come together to put together an Olympic performance or a World Championships performance and all of that. And sometimes it doesn't, right?
It's just horses.
Conditions don't favor your horse. We don't all have a couple of horses to choose from to take to the Olympics or something like that. So I'll just give you the results. I guess top 5 from the Grand Prix. The gold medal went to Jessica von Bredal-Verndal, her horse Delara, beautiful horse, lovely mare.
Oh,
Isabel Worth was silver, Bella Rose, and then bronze went to Charlotte Dujardin with Geo.
So cool.
Fourth was Catherine Dufour, Bohemian. That was a horse that I've seen kind of have a little more sparkle to him.
I thought so too. I thought he she's really a cool athlete and just somebody that I enjoy following. And he can really, you watch him and you're like, oh my gosh. And he looked a little flat for him. Again, it was very, very hot. And those horses were coming from Europe where it's not
doesn't
hot.
get that hot usually.
It doesn't get that hot ever, ever.
So. And then, 5th place, Sabine should carry and Sancio. Beautiful rides. All of them.
Ride of her life, for sure.
Yeah, loved it. And then should give a special shout out to Stefan Peters and Sippen Casper or Mopsy, because he's kind of the TikTok. I don't know if anybody's been seeing this on TikTok and that kind of thing. He's kind of shot to fame on
Rave Horse.
Social media. Rave Horse. Yeah, they call him Rave Horse. He had a really contemporary freestyle music, which is I think that's kind of his thing. I saw him before on Ravel and have a really contemporary freestyle in the World Championships and stuff. I loved it. I mean, it
was so cool.
Yeah. I think we got to get dressage out of the dark ages and introduce, newer music or because the freestyle is what people want to see.
Sure.
And it can be really fun if people recognize the songs.
Yeah.
I get the classical component of it and all these things, but in my opinion, if we want to be recognized by more than just our, our community, and we want to get it out to the general public, I mean, it's hard to be recognized as an athlete when you're dressed like a footman from Downton Abbey.
It's true. Yeah.
Right? And then, just classical music, it's very pretty and it's nice and all that thing. But, we need to get exposure and get sponsors and get people involved. And I think, there's the newer music is going to happen.
It's going to do it.
Yeah. I don't think it detracts from the beauty of the sport. And so that's my 2 cents about it. I think the dress has to change. We can't all look the same all the time,
Well, and it is going to change in the US. There has been some movement. I don't know if the FEI will change it, but there has been some changing of the dress code, and we'll discuss that. We'll get an official on to kind of talk about that. But there was also, I don't know, and it may not be child appropriate, but Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg, the horse crib walking. It's all over social media.
Too. Yeah. So that was NBC that put those guys together, and we're talking about all kinds of different sports, but they highlighted dressage, which is great, right? It's really great. So,
they couldn't believe it. Was so funny. And it, so we did get some good coverage, I think, where people were like, this is pretty cool that you can do this with a horse. And so that was fun. So we really enjoyed all of that. But if you have a chance, check that out on Facebook. But the Rave Horse is great, like all his stuff. So shout out to Stefan. Hopefully we'll get to ask him what he thinks about being the jockey of the Rave Horse, because they kept talking about the jockey. And we're like, okay, all right, well, that's fine.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Perfect.
It's perfect. So we hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to be wrapping up we have lots more Olympic stories to come in the next couple weeks, and we look forward to bringing that forward to you guys. But we also want to shout out, it was brought to our attention, and I'm so glad. But we in last week's show, we didn't talk about the grooms. That also, we talked about the officials and the riders and the other people that were going to Tokyo as their dream. And I really wanted to give a shout out to the grooms, because all these grooms and support team from USDF and all the different nations have support staff that goes with them, and veterinarians, and that make that possible. And we wanted to give a special shout out to all the grooms and the support staff that went with all the athletes and got them all home. I mean, when there's still stuff, the horses are still getting home now. So we wanted to give a special shout out to them as well.
Fantastic.
Well, Phil, we've got a great show. We're going to get started. We're going to change gears a little bit. We did want to mention again that we have a new book club of the month. So take a look at that. Also, a reminder, because this is our USDF episode, that declarations are available now. That if you want to go to the US Dressage Finals, it's just a paperwork thing, but you have to do it. I'm pretty sure before your regionals. If you go to the USDF website, you're looking for the declaration for the US Finals. That is coming up. Also, convention is going to happen. It looks like in person in Houston, Texas, December 1st through the 4th. So keep an eye on that. Obviously, people are getting qualified for their regional championships. So we want to send a special shout out to you as in the last couple weeks of doing that and getting ready for that. So lots of fun stuff going on. And we look forward to covering a couple of these events as they come forward.
Our friends at Kentucky Performance Products have a contest going on for all of our listeners. You can win 20% off and free shipping for 1 year on the supplement of your choice that does not include Equijoule, along with a box of KPP prizes, custom leather halter, a KPP Centaur Turbo Dry sheet. All you have to do is tell us how Kentucky Performance Products supplements have made a difference in your horse. Go to kppusa.com, tell us, and answer 3 simple questions. What KPP supplement do you use? Why have you chosen KPP over other brands? How have KPP supplements helped your horse? 1 lucky winner will be chosen at the end of the month. Who doesn't want 20% off and free shipping for a year? That's kppusa.com/tell us.
Founded in 1973, the United States Dressage Federation has become the largest organization to represent a single Olympic equestrian discipline. At nearly 30,000 members strong, USDF is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org to learn more about USDF education, competition and award programs, and to shop our online store. Again, that's USDF.org, your online destination for dressage.
Well, tonight for our USDF episode, we are so excited to have the chairperson of the FEI Junior Young Rider Committee, Roberta Williams. Basically, she's an angel, and she's preparing to go to the North American Youth Championships that are happening next week. And we are so happy to have her on the show. Roberta, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be here. It's good to hear you.
I know. Well, you and I do a lot of work together, and we also, I have to be honest, we were talking about old stories right before we got on the air, and you just had me laughing. I was very, very lucky to go to the Young Rider Championships along with my sister, and we made such lifelong memories. I have made lifelong friends. You knew me when I was 16, 17, and then in my 20s, and we were just laughing about some of the old stories. And this is a very old program, isn't it?
It is. It is. It doesn't feel that old,
No.
but
No, thank you.
Going back, lots of people have come through it, and you're right. There's a lot of wonderful stories, crazy stories.
Yeah,
Maybe it doesn't feel that old because each year you're refreshed with new participants, and always lots of enthusiasm from the riders, and it's all about youth riders, right? So.
Yeah, it is. And you're absolutely right, because when you have the kids come in with the energy that they bring, they come in, if they start as a junior and they go all the way through being a young rider, then we have them for almost 8 years. Back when it first started, it was just the young riders, and they only had them for 4 years. So once they age out and we have a new crop coming in, and it's continually rotating, so it's always sort of refreshing itself, I guess, sort of like a computer does. So yeah. It's like a new program. We get updates. It's sort of like, North American Youth Championships. Oh, we have a new update. It's a new batch of kids. So it's great. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. And actually, when I went back in my day, we didn't have the juniors. The juniors came in actually the first year when my sister did juniors. And do you remember when that was instituted? Because for the longest time, it was just young riders. It was 16 to 21, right?
I think, yeah, it was. I think it was in 2007 that we finally were able to introduce the juniors to the North American Young Rider Championships. So we added that, and that was a really big deal. The juniors had their own competition that was kind of a loosely based team competition, and they had it at Pebble Beach in California, and they would rotate it. One year it was at Devon, and it finally became apparent that we could put juniors in with the young riders. So it works really well. So, and it helps feed the pipeline.
Absolutely. And, I think what is so cool about this program is it's education based, but it's also, it's a competition. You have to qualify to get there. And so, that is a huge process, right? For families. I mean, that is what my family did for years. We would qualify, we would train, we would go to competitions. So can you talk a little bit about the qualifying process that all these kids have to go through to get to the North American Youth Championships?
Sure. We've streamlined it over the years. We learned a lot, and we also learned that we had to sort of adjust to the times. But I'm pretty happy with the way we have it now. The riders have to go to at least two designated qualifying competitions. And we have the qualifying competitions on the national level, and then we have qualifying competitions that are CDIs. If they choose to go to two national competitions, and they are specifically earmarked to be NAYC qualifying competitions, those scores automatically count for their overall average to qualify for their region. So each region fields a team to go to these championships. When you were doing it, Reese, you had to go to 3 qualifying competitions. Mm-hmm. You could do more than that, and you could drop one score. But back then it was 3. And also back then you didn't have freestyles, if I remember right. We had to do
my second, like when I was in my 20s. They started. Okay. I think when I was, it would have been 2000, probably around 2000 that came in. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think. I don't remember. No, not gonna lie. Yeah, maybe 97. I don't remember. We're aging ourselves. I did have to do them. It was in the 2000 range. Let's put it that way.
Well, in the beginning years, we didn't have freestyle. So we make it so that you have to have, it's the average of your team test and your individual test. And we don't put the numeric values in for having a freestyle because mathematically we found that skewed the qualifying averages. But you do have to do a mandatory freestyle and get at least a 65% so that it shows that you have capability to do a freestyle. Because remember, this is a team competition, you're representing your region. And
or
the
country.
thing about it is,
or country.
Well, you're right.
Canada.
So I was just going to say, I was just going to say that what makes this really unique, this competition unique, is because the FEI recognizes the 9 regions of the United States and the provinces in Canada, each as a country. So because the vast size of the U.S. and Canada. And so that's why you send regional teams. So that's as if they're on their own little country, and the same with the provinces. The island countries, Bermuda, actually Bermuda is sending a rider this year, and Mexico can send teams. And this year, this is pretty cool. We have the dressage and the jumping are together at Traverse City, which is a new location. But we have the U.S., and in jumping, we have Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, Panama, Canada, and Costa Rica. And for dressage, we do have the Bermudan, and we have Canada, and we have the U.S. So we're rocking it.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to the qualifying. So, we have the qualifying criteria, which can be found on the USDF and the USDF website. And they have the 4 top riders in each region are chosen for the teams. Now we do it just like the Olympics do. If a rider has to drop out, we have alternates, and the rules are based on the Olympic rules. So it's pretty strict on how that happens. And so right now we have riders from all of the U.S. regions represented. And that's also a couple of years ago, we didn't have riders from, I think it was region, let me think about this, 5 and region 8. So we've got full representation this year. So I'm pretty happy about that. So
yeah, that is so cool. And part of it too, right, is throughout the program, there are youth clinics throughout the United States, correct? I mean, there's some coaching support as well.
Yes. The coaching support and the clinics, the USDF Young Rider Clinics is a cooperative effort between the USDF and USCF. And it is, actually, it's my husband who is the USCF National Youth Coach. He's the usual clinician for these clinics, but we also use Ann Gribbons does some of the clinics as well, because she's a former technical advisor for the United States. So we try to have the clinicians be oriented towards what we call the pipeline. And the pipeline, of course, is trying to develop the youth in our country to be able to eventually get on a podium. So there is a program that's called Discover Dressage, which is administered by USCF. And that also helps fund these clinics and also funds the kids that are chosen to, again, represent the United States in Europe for what we call the European Tour, the Young Rider Tour, which would be a whole another podcast.
Yes.
We have time. But because this is about
we will.
Riders Championship.
We will make time.
I know. Yeah. No, it's really neat. And they were lucky that they did take kids over to Europe this year, and it culminated in the Future Champions competition in Hagen, Germany, where the U.S., our young rider team, got the bronze medal. So that was
cool.
pretty,
Fantastic.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, I mean, it's not all about serious competition. You know, Reese was saying, you know, right before we were recording, we were talking about the fun and games that happens at the championships. Maybe you could tell us a couple of fun.
Oh boy!
Maybe Reese, you can get us started with what was going on when you were doing it.
Well, when we did it, and we were chatting about it before we got on, just laughing, there was you dressed 2 officials. So every region had 2 officials that we would dress up, and there was a golf cart parade. So you had to dress your officials, you had to decorate your golf cart. And I asked Roberta, I said, "Oh, is that still happening?" Because it was so much fun. I remember laughing, and it was great, especially as a youth. You know, we had Roberta and Axel Steiner, we dressed them one year, and, you know, you go down the center line and you have seen the officials, you know, kind of letting their hair down and having fun and joking. And I think it does help everyone just have a great time. So Roberta, tell everybody a little bit about what we did. And they don't do that anymore, which is really a shame.
Well, golf cart races, they were hilarious. During those days, I was the FEI chief steward for dressage. Was one of my roles. And what they would do is they would put our names up in pairs on the big board, and it was all 3 disciplines. So it was eventing officials, jumping officials, and dressage officials. Then the teams would choose which couple of officials they would want. And so they did this on Tuesday when they arrived. And on Friday, I think it was Friday or Saturday now, I can't remember. But that would be the day that after they would be decorating their golf carts, and it was all in secret. Nobody knew, and the officials didn't know. We didn't know at all. I just knew, like one year I was with Axel Steiner, and all we were supposed to do was show up in the stabling. It was a big surprise. And the officials got so into it. And they wanted to make certain, because one year Maria Gunther who was a dressage jump, very, very famous German dressage jump. She was adamant that we schedule those classes so that she had plenty of time to prepare for the golf cart race. I mean, you did not argue with Maria Gunter. So we showed up in the stabling, and my husband George was the director of dressage for the competition. But he had called me. He said, "You need to go home," because we lived only a mile away. "You need to go home and get a bathing suit top." Like, for what? He said, "Just go home and get a bathing suit top." I said, "Okay." So I show up in the stabling, and it was the Region 2 team, I believe.
Yep.
And they had this golf cart that said Aloha on it. And it was decorated. There were palm trees hanging off it. It was beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful. So they made poor Axel he was Don Ho and I was his hula girl. So Axel had to wear a grass skirt.
Yep.
And had like a Hawaiian shirt on and this wig and these flamboyant lace around his neck. And they put me in a grass skirt and I had to wear coconuts. Which, thank God I had this bikini. So it was a good thing I had this bikini top on because, I was thinner than I am now. So, well, yeah, but I wouldn't have filled out the coconuts anyway. So Axel refused to take his socks off. It's like, he had these white socks on. You cannot wear white gym socks with your grass skirt. So that was and there's pictures. There's
oh yeah, there's evidence.
So when we inducted Axel Steiner into the USDF Hall of Fame, we put that picture up of him being John Ho and Hula Girl. And so then the next year, I was paired with Jessica Vanzehausen, who she's a legend, and she's formidable. And yes. They dressed us up. It was the Region 7, which is California, and they decorated the golf cart, and they made it look like the Sun Raisins box. And I don't know how they did it, but it really looked like the sun raisins, like the woman coming up from the sun. And we were California grapes. And they put us in little white tennis shoes and purple tights. And they took big lawn bags, leaf bags, the black ones, and they had stuffed them full of stuff. And we had like our little purple arms out with big white gloves. And then we had to put pantyhose on our head to look like the top of the grapes. And so they put a boombox on the back and they played Heard It Through the Grapevine because that was what the commercial was. But Jessica didn't know how to dance to it. So, and you have to remember is that when first of all, we were judged on the costumes that we had. And then in the beginning years, it was a race. So you raced down the hill and came back up the hill. But the kids would go into the woods. They would take the governors off the golf carts.
We would never do that. Yes. We would never do that. No.
And then one year, Uwe Mecklin got so into it, he decided to show up in a tractor. So he shows up in the tractor. I mean, it was just good, honest fun. It was so fun. It was hilarious. We had a great time.
We had the best of times. I mean, we still laugh about it too. It was amazing. So Roberta, will the kids get fun this time in Traverse City?
So when the golf cart races were instituted when Young Riders was at Temple Farms, and there was a lot of space, and so when it moved to Kentucky, they ended up doing what they called a golf cart parade, and they would go from the Kentucky Horse Park over to Spy Coast.
Spy Coast.
And so they would decorate their carts, but not, and it was like on Tuesday night. So they didn't really have a lot of time to sort of percolate ideas. And one of the things about the golf cart races was it made the team get together and do something together. So it really fostered the team spirit quite a bit. And so at Spy Coast, they did just a parade, and we tried to kick it into gear again when we were in Colorado. And this year, because this year is different, last year wasn't the year. It's as if, we didn't have it because of COVID, it got canceled. So yes, there'll be activities, but we won't have a golf cart yet. We're still being pretty careful about trying to be very COVID compliant. We have to follow the state and federal guidelines for COVID, basically, which is the CDC recommendations. And we also have the USDF has a 17-page document, and the FEI has a 42-page document of and,
fun killers
on risk of
fun killers.
Pardon?
Yeah, but
important.
But
so they're trying to do things like they have like a poster making thing, and it's not going to be as exciting as seeing Axel Steiner in a grass skirt.
Yeah, that's happened. There is photo evidence, but it will be, and the kids get to compete. And that's the huge thing, that at least people get to go.
It is huge. It is huge. I think we're just so excited about being there. And this year is a new location, a new venue. So there's always a learning curve. Traverse City is stunningly beautiful. I don't know if you've been, did you ever go up there?
My best friend from college lives there, but nothing horsey. So I've never been to the competition grounds, but I've been to Traverse City, and it is an unbelievably beautiful area. And I just think you guys will have an amazing experience.
I think so. And I think Horseshoes by the Bay really wants to put on a good competition for us. As you know, we're partnered with the Jumpers. Sadly, eventing sort of has dropped out of the North American Youth Championships. It's my dream one day to have them come back in, but they didn't have enough riders to be able to ride at that level. So they've instituted their own programs to bring kids along. But I think once we kind of, we have to break these venues in, gently before we throw the full force.
Yes, full throttle.
Rock and roll loonies.
And there used to be quite the dance parties. It was quite, when I went in Temple Farms, there was a huge tent, and it was all three disciplines. I mean, it was just such a life-changing program and event. And I know the kids this year, again, I think everyone's so excited to be able to compete, and, it's going to be great, and getting everybody back at it. And, but Roberta, we're so thankful. We love the stories. We're going to have you come back, because you've got stories on literally everybody from when we were kids. And yeah, I know. That's why we have to stay friends, because let me tell you.
I know.
But
it's like when you guys grow up and have babies, it's like, I can't believe this.
Well, Roberta, thank you so much for your time. I know you're getting ready to go to Traverse City. You guys will be there a week or so. But tell us if any parents or listeners or riders have any questions about the youth program. So how can they find you online and find more information?
They can find me if they go to the USDF website. They can look up our committee, the FEI Junior Young Rider Committee, and it has the list of the regional coordinators. My recommendation would be to find their region and contact their regional coordinator, or they can contact Jamie Humphreys, who's also listed on the website. She is the USDF FEI Junior Young Rider Liaison. And as chair, I'm always happy to answer questions. That's my job. And I am also listed on the USDF website. So there's many ways to find somebody to answer the questions.
Fantastic. Roberta, thanks so much and have a great week. I know you're going to have lots more stories after this week.
Yes, I will. I'll have a glass of wine with you. So.
Yes, deal.
All
Thanks,
right.
Roberta.
I'll see you guys.
Have you ever wondered how to keep your horse sound and how to prevent future lameness issues? Have you had to deal with abscesses, stone bruises, laminitis, navicular, or soft tissue damage in the hoof capsule? Or maybe you're a farrier and you want to learn how top vets around the world diagnose and treat various hoof care issues. The Humble Hoof is a podcast for both owners and professionals discussing the health of the hoof and soundness of your horse. Check us out, published twice a month on Horse Radio Network.
Well, tonight for our Young Rider edition of the USDF episode, we are so excited to have Elizabeth Petersen, 17-year-old from Elbert, Colorado. She's getting ready for her first experience at junior championships. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, I aged myself because I'm friends with your mom and I've been watching you grow up and I'm so excited for you going to juniors.
I'm so excited myself. It's going to be a great experience.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself and your horse.
So I personally have been riding for as long as I can remember. Basically, my mom had me and said she wouldn't go home till we went to the barn. So horses have been part of my life forever. I have personally shown up to the Prix St. George. I got my silver medal last year. I in previous years have tried out for juniors, but sadly it's always been in Socrates. And being in Colorado and having an older horse, it's just been super difficult to get up there in time. And my horse, his name is Simba. He's a 22-year-old Dutch warm blood. I will have had him for 4 years in October. We got him. Basically, he had no experience. He had maybe one show under his belt and he was 18, so it's kind of crazy. And so he was trained to the 3rd level and we brought him up to the Prix St. George and I'm taking him out at juniors and he's doing really well. It's been a great experience.
I love it. So tell us, we're recording on Thursday. So what happens now? Because you guys have to get to Traverse City, Michigan. And as you said, you're in Colorado. That's a pretty long trip. What are you doing to
maybe
prepare for
maybe
that?
you should leave after this interview.
Yeah, pretty much you should go now.
We are planning to leave tomorrow afternoon, mid-afternoon, and we're going to take up the other girl from Colorado with us, and we're planning to drive basically all the way through with maybe 4 hours of sleep in between, and then get there Saturday evening approximately.
Wow. So how are you guys preparing for that long trip?
A lot of packing, and I had my last school day with Simba today, so he's going to get Friday off, Saturday off, and then we'll give him rest Sunday. And so, I don't know, just a lot of mental prep, physical prep.
Yeah, I know. So as your first time, what is some mental prep? Like, how are you preparing mentally? It's a great thought.
As I've grown up, I've experienced it through my other friends who are older than me and have gone to NOAC. So I've personally talked to them and kind of got their feedback on what to expect. And I used to have really bad show nerves. So to prep to make sure I didn't get them, I've been going through different sports psychology books and little sports psychology courses just to kind of get my nerves down and find ways to mentally prepare. A lot of breathing.
Yeah, I think it can be a little tricky to, your first year going to really know what to expect and how figure out, what are your expectations for your performance or for, that's, once you've been once, I think, then you kind of have an idea, but you're going to go, kind of a little bit blind. And I think you just ride your best and that's all you can do. Right.
Definitely. And I mean, it's like, I already am there and it's already a great achievement and honor to be there. So you know what, go have fun and we'll see how it all goes the riding wise, but I'm just excited to be there.
Yeah.
So tell us. That's a great attitude. Yeah.
It's the perfect attitude. So tell us, once you get there, how does the competition run? Because Traverse City is an absolutely beautiful place, but there's also jumpers there. So it'll be kind of an international feel, right? So what's the plan on when you ride, et cetera?
So we are sharing the barns with the jumpers, and the scheduling is kind of all separated really well, so we won't run into them very much. But So we'll get there, and the junior jog will be on Tuesday. So we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll get schooling days Monday, Tuesday, and then actual competition starts up Wednesday for juniors. So we'll do our team on Wednesday, our individual on Friday, and then if I'm in top 18, which is what I'm hoping for, fingers crossed, I'll get to do freestyle on Sunday.
Wonderful. So what happens? Yeah. What happens sort of, you've been preparing for the competition. It's such a family event for you guys. So what happens when you come back? What's the plan?
I'm not totally sure on that yet. The difficult part is my mom runs a bunch of shows, and so we'll come back Monday afterwards. And then basically we take all the NAYC stuff out of the trailer on Tuesday, pack up a whole nother horse show, and then we'll leave for another horse show on Wednesday for my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's your life, right? That's what you do. So yep. I love it. Well, Elizabeth, we are so excited for you and your team and your family, and we're going to be following along and cheering you guys on. And we hope you have an amazing experience in Traverse City.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, Phil, you and I are working really hard right now and on our position and our students' position and getting ready for all the events that are coming up, shows and finals and regionals and all the things.
I've got a show coming up next week. And then you actually were invited to the Festival of Champions. So
I was. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that Bingo and I are going knock on wood, fingers crossed, all the things to the national finals at Grand Prix. I haven't been since 2009. So I'm pretty excited. At Grand Prix, I did go a couple times with a young horse, but I'm really looking forward to it. And as we're going there, we will be sporting our Total Saddle Fit Stability Stirrup Leathers because I love them so much.
Maybe they're the reason. Maybe they're the reason you qualified.
It didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt. Perfect.
I mean, anything at this point that helps. But actually, truly, I use those stirrup leathers. I love them. I actually now, when I get into a saddle that doesn't have them, I'm like taken aback. I'm like, whoa, because it does. The stirrup leathers themselves are a little bit wider, and so they stabilize your leg more. And they're
comfy.
They're
super
comfy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You and I both ride in the original, right? They have a slim version too. That I think Phil and I are kind of similar. We are a little more traditionalist, but if you like the stirrup buckle not under your thigh, they have one of those as well, and it's the Stability Stirrup Leathers. They're the slim ones.
Slim version. They got a couple different versions, and they're great, and the girths are great. All the products are great from Total Saddle Fit. So I think you can go there, totalsaddlefit.com, and check them out. And they're great at answering questions or concerns, and they have great return policies. So,
absolutely, check them out.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at totalsaddlefit.com.
Well, for this week's Total Saddle Fit tip of the week, we have Rebecca Hart. She is preparing to go to Tokyo for the Para-Olympic Games. She's been to 3 other Olympics and the World Equestrian Games in Kentucky, Normandy, and Tryon. Rebecca, welcome back to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. Excited to talk to you tonight.
We are so excited for your trainer tip of the week. What do you have for us this week?
All right. So this is something that I use quite regularly with my competition horse techs. Because sometimes when you're riding, the look is one thing and then the feel is another. And when I feel kind of that those are not kind of in harmony, what I like to do to kind of get back in sync with him is I will bridge the reins first. And the bridging the reins is basically where you loop the reins together and run them through both of your hands. So instead of one rein in each hand, you kind of have a loop and both reins are in both of your hands. And the reason I do that is it basically quiets everything down, puts it more back to your seat and to your core. And then for me, then I can feel where kind of the hole is in that moment and then get him to kind of refocus on my body aids and then get him back physically and mentally kind of in sync. And once that happens, then I go back to riding kind of with your normal one rein in each hand. And usually I can then get him back in sync with me mentally and physically. And it's just a nice way to kind of click back in, quiet everything down, get the feel that you want to kind of mirror what the actual image is that other people are seeing. And then you can carry on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great tip.
Yeah.
Phil, when do you bridge your reins?
All the time. Because I think part of our job, as you're teaching the horse to do dressage is really, a lot of it is about straightness, right? And so for the horse to be able to balance and be straight, the rider also has to encourage the straightness through their own body. So bridging is great when you have to, reduce the bend or reduce the noise of the hands and of, one hand being stronger than the other. I mean, we're all, left-handed or right-handed. So of course one rein is going to be stronger than the other. So bridging is like a way of taking the dominant hand out of the picture, and that you're using both hands, more equally, or, bridging or one hand riding. So I would ride the horse, with my outside hand only. So if you're going to the right, it would be your left hand. And if you're going to the left, it would be your right hand. Again, reduce the noise of your arms and your hands and see what's going on with your legs and your seat and what's happening with the horse. You get so much great insight from doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're right. And I think it's also a really good technique sometimes when you're hacking, when you want to just keep a nice steady contact. And, I've done that. I've used it a lot on young horses as well, especially when they're really fussy and their necks are all over the place. So I think it's a really cool thing. And, there's other ways to do it too, not to bridge per se, but there's the Phyllis technique. Do you guys know of that one where you have the reins? You run the reins opposite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so instead of through your ring finger and, you run it through from the horse's mouth down through your hand, from the opposite way. Yeah.
The opposite way.
Between your thumb and forefinger first,
right,
and then down
first.
To the other. Yeah. There's some different techniques. If people need to understand better what we're talking about, there's always the wonderful YouTube. You can
get a visual.
Search on there to get a visual. But yeah, there's lots. I mean, more advanced techniques is when your horse is really schooled in the tempi changes. I would bridge the reins to do tempis. So you again stop pulling the head left and right and the horse left and right and get super straight with those 3s, 4s, 2s, and 1s. There's lots of great usage for that technique. So I'm really appreciate Rebecca reminding us that's a great riding tip.
Yeah, great tip, Rebecca. Well, we are so excited to be following you in the games at Tokyo. So how can people reach you online, follow your journey, all the good stuff?
So you can follow me online. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. My handle's at Rebecca Hart 136. And I'll just be kind of posting all the updates from Tokyo from there.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck and great tip. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as always, everybody, we love email and Facebook shout outs. Keep them coming. And any questions or, again, we'd love to hear feedback. So feel free to send it. The United States Dressage Federation is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org for more information. That's www.usdf.org, the online destination for dressage. You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is on Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for allowing us to put on a good show. That's Kentucky Performance Products and Total Saddle Fit. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we will talk to you next week.